So here I am, frustrated. I don't like being frustrated, especially by math that should make sense. So it makes perfectly good sense to me because I know plenty of geometry. The first example in lesson 11 is overlapping triangles. There's a lot of geometry that you don't know yet that you need in order to solve this. So I'm not quite sure why it's there. And then they decide to make it easier and go to something easy. So we're going to go to exercise 2 or whatever this is. I don't know if it's an exercise. I don't know if it's an example. It is an exercise. So we're going to exercise 2. Okay, the key to this is it's not angle. It's really called angle, or it's called side angle side, but you don't need to know that because, again, that's geometry. What you're looking for is to find an angle, a side, and an angle, or a side, an angle, and a side. This is actually, this is angle, side, angle, because there's 2 angles and a side in between. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just go here. Based on the information, is this similar? Why or why not? B is 92, B prime's 92. A is 59, A prime's 59. Yep. Because of angle similarity. Is that important? Yes. That's one of the most important things about similarity is angle similarity. Okay. Given that triangle ABC is similar to triangle A prime, B prime, C prime, determine the length of A prime, C prime. Well, what do we know? This is where we have to have a proportion. We've got A prime, B prime. And I'm going to come over here. So this question is going to be up here so I can show math. 5 and 12/100, because that's my image, divided by my pre-image, equals. Then I've got, okay, so this is A prime, B prime. We're looking for A prime, C prime. Do we know what A prime, C prime is? Nope. So I can put A prime, C prime, or, which is better in pre-algebra, is a variable. We don't know what it is. Do we know what AC is? Yes, we do. It's 6 1/10. So now how can I find this answer? Well, this is where we are doing what's called cross multiplication. Have we done cross multiplication before? I don't remember. I think we have, but I get confused between pre-algebra and algebra because you should have done this last year. I'm 99% sure in 7th grade that you did, but I don't remember. Ella, did we do this last year, cross multiplication in pre-algebra? Yeah, I think so too. So we're going to cross multiply. So I'm going to take 6 1/10, and I'm going to multiply it by 5 12/100. And I'm going to take this 3 2/10, and I'm going to multiply it by x. Well, now I have an equation. So I do 6.1 times 5.12, and I hate using points, but that's 31 232 thousandths equals 3 2/10 x. To solve for x, I divide by 3 2/10. I divide by 3 2/10. X equals, so now I take 31 232 thousandths divided by 3 2/10, and I get 9 76 Well, where does that go? That's my A prime, C prime is 9 76 So we're using cross multiplication. That's all well and good. That's pretty easy. If we know something similar, we can set up proportions. Why? Because they have to be proportional. Letter C, determine the side length of BC. Okay, so now we're doing the same thing, except now we're finding BC. So I'm going to keep this same proportion. 5 12/100, which is A prime, B prime, divided by AB, because that's pre-image, and that's image in the top, equals, and we're looking for, what did I say, BC? So I have B prime, C prime, which is 8 96 divided by, we don't know what it is, let's call it Y so we don't get confused with that X. And we cross multiply. So now I have 3 2/10 times 8 96 equals 5 12/100 Y. Get your calculator. 3 2/10 times 8 96 gives me 28 672 thousandths equals 5 12/100 Y. Divide that by 5 12/100 and I get Y equaling 5 6/10. Well, what did we really just find? This was letter C, which was BC, which is 5 6/10. Once you know triangles are similar, Everything is proportional. Mr. H, you're crazy. What do you mean? Okay. Do we have enough information to say that these triangles are similar? Let's find out. So, you don't have two angles. That's trouble. But we do have two sides on the side of an angle. That's good. So, I'm going to match up my A prime, B prime. 10 and 58/100ths divided by. So, image divided by pre-image. Why don't I match it up with here? A prime, B prime, BC. Doesn't match. A prime, B prime, AB. Aha. Those have to be equal to B prime, C prime, which is 11 and 66/100ths divided by 4 and 6/100ths. So how do I check this? Well, I cross multiply. So now I have 5 and 3/10 times 11 and 66/100ths. That better be equal to 10 and 58/100ths times 4 and 6/10. So let's get our calculators. 5 and 3/100ths times 11 and 66/100ths. That gives me 61 and 798 thousandths equals 10 and 58/100ths. Wow, that would have been 10. There we go. Times 4 and 6/10. And that gives me 48 and 668 thousandths. Are those equal? No. Therefore, they are not proportional. If they're not proportional, then no, they are not similar. How would I explain this? I would show my work because they have to be proportional. They are not proportional, therefore they are not similar. Even though one angle is congruent, that does not mean anything. Remember, we need at least two angles that are going to be congruent. Okay, so this is what we're doing for this lesson. I think there's one more example I'd like to do, maybe. Nope, just a lesson summary. So once you have similarity, you need to prove that they are proportional. That is the last lesson before your module test. We will make sure that you have a good review packet and that you are ready to rock and roll through this. It's it's October 26th today. My guess is you'll be taking this test somewhere around November 18th, something like that. So be prepared. Huzzah. And stop. Bye.